Solar PV Cast by Shift, a podcast exploring solar energy and the role it plays in improving our lives and our planet. Here's your host, Chris Palliser.
The Solar PV Cast is brought to you by Shift. For all your solar and energy storage needs, visit shift.ca. Now, today's podcast is all about the future. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about the future of the solar industry. I guess, I mean, it is part of it for sure, but I'm talking about the future that's in school right now. The future of humanity, if you will, students. And it's one of the main reasons I started an in-school solar program, because our future is in the hands of students. And that is why I was so pleased and excited when I came across a group called Student Energy. And it is a group, in fact, you know what, I'm just gonna read this. I want to get it right. Student Energy empowers the next generation of leaders who are accelerating the transition to a sustainable, equitable energy future. They work with a network of 50,000 young people from over 120 countries. Now, one of those young people to join the Solar PV Cast today is Shakti Ramkumar, who is the Senior Director of Policy and Communications. Shakti, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So Student Energy, tell me all about Student Energy. First, I kind of summed up what you did, but if you could reiterate on that, expand on that, and talk about how you started and tell us about it.
Yeah, Student Energy is, we believe, the world's largest youth-led organization working on energy. And we were actually founded in Calgary by a group of 3 students in 2009 who recognized that there were so many young people who were really wanting to have a voice in the energy space, but there just wasn't a space for them. And a lot of the industry events that they were going to, that careers that they were trying to get into, there just was not a space for young people to have their voices heard and really become an active part of the energy transition. So Student Energy started first with our International Student Energy Summit. The 3 founders, they kind of thought, okay, this will be a one-off event, a totally youth-led energy summit. We'll bring together young people from around the world, and that'll be that. They brought together 350 youth to Calgary from over 30 countries and had really a one-of-a-kind experience where young people were the ones setting the agenda, asking questions, bringing on world leaders and experts in energy. And it was kind of this incredible experience way back in 2009. And after the summit, young people kept reaching out to the founders, asking, so what's next? You know, we want to continue on the momentum. I met so many cool people at the Student Energy Summit. What's happening now? So knowing that there was this great appetite from youth around the world for continued action on energy, Student Energy was born as a nonprofit. So since then, we've kind of expanded our program's ecosystem far beyond the Student Energy Summit. We'll actually be hosting our 7th International Student Energy Summit. It happens every 2 years. This year in Abu Dhabi, right before the UN Climate Change Conference, COP28. And alongside the International Student Energy Summit, we now have a whole suite of programs that we offer to young people 18 to 30. We have over 50 university-led chapters that youth autonomously run. We have a fellowship program for young people to learn really basic, energy system fundamentals and start building their own community projects. We have a guided projects program for youth who are ready to take the next step and install their own community scale energy projects. We walk them through from start to finish and provide coaching and mentorship and support. We have the energy system map, of course, which includes our website map as well as our resources, and they've reached millions of people over the past few years. So our goal with all of these programs is to meet young people where they're at, to intervene in that critical time between high school and whatever comes next. Not all of the youth in our network are in universities, many of them are, but we really want to cater to all young people 18 to 30 who are trying to figure out, how can I take action on energy? How can I start my career? And how can I figure out what to do with my life? All of our programs are designed to intervene at different points, meeting young people at whatever stage they might be.
Wow, that I got goosebumps for real, because you can hear the passion and the excitement in your own voice about reaching these people and showing them opportunities. We were at a career fair not too long ago, and you're so right. We're still transitioning in that mindset that renewable energy is an option for young people. There's your standard trades, The film industry was there, and the trade industry, and all those standard industries. And then over in the corners is a little solar booth. And it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's an option. So many people still don't think that it's an option. So it's amazing that you're out there. 50,000 members, I think, worldwide. Is that what I read?
Yep, that's right. We have about 50,000 young people from all over the world. We're bringing together 650 of them in person at our summit, but thousands more are engaged through our programs.
And 40 chapters. So not just Canada now. You're in countries all around the world?
Yep, we're everywhere. I think we're in our mid 50s now with our chapters. So we're in our strongest kind of cluster of chapters are in Latin America and in Africa, but we also have chapters in Southeast Asia, in Europe, in the United States, really everywhere.
So how does it work? I was reading about your student energy guided projects program, one of your many great programs. How does that work? You kind of enroll in student energy, become a team player, and then link up that way? Like, how would that work for somebody?
Yeah, we take applications for all of our programs at, throughout the year. And we really want young people to think about, okay, at this stage of my career or, professional life, what do I need? And for some people, they just want to meet potential employers and, do a practicum project, learn more about the industry. For some people, they want to learn energy system fundamentals to see if this is a space they might even be interested in. And for some students, they already know that energy is something I'm passionate about. I am ready to build something in my community and I want to dedicate, quite a significant amount of my time to doing this. And for those youth who are ready, the guided projects program was built over the past couple of years because it can be really hard to take action in your community and, get boots on the ground and build a project for young people. It's often very hard for youth to get funding because they don't have 10 years of audited financials or a LLC set up or all of these kind of checks that funders require that larger companies might have, that startups might have. Young people often don't have those. So we want them to leverage student energy as kind of their launch pad so that we can be their first partner, their first intro into successfully designing and implementing a project on the ground, and use that as an opportunity to scale that up and get access to bigger pools of funding, to more expansive networks of partners, and scale up their community work. So the guided projects program right now, we're actually focusing on solar PV. We brought on, we did a pre-pilot test project with a team of amazing students at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology in Edmonton, where they built a solar array at their university, and they're actually now selling power to their university, which is really cool. And they're using the proceeds to fund their chapter's work. So that was our pre-pilot project. It started producing power just a little while ago, a few months ago. Since then, we brought on 6 more pilot project teams from around the world. 2 of them are now up and running, Shames Mountain and one in Kenya. And essentially, we walk young people through, here's how you develop a project plan, here's how you meet with your team, here's how you fundraise. And there are all kinds of challenges that you don't get taught in school. Like you need to think about permitting, contracting, you need to get engineers' approval to actually build a solar project. And even though these are fairly small scale, community scale solar arrays, the steps that young people go through, the learning that they go through in implementing these projects is something that they can replicate. Once they've done it once, you can do it again at a bigger scale. So that's the goal with guided projects, is we literally guide youth from start to finish to implementing a solar project. We hope to expand to other issues as well, like clean cooking and energy efficiency. But we started with solar. And the end goal is that youth can use this experience to reach bigger funding, to grow bigger projects, to implement them, because now they know how.
Wow, that's incredible. Is there an age limit to get in on this?
Our age limit for our programs is typically 18 to 30. Of course, many of our youth networks, they work with project partners in their communities, other organizations, individuals. So our teams are often, quite diverse age-wise, but the teams that directly work with student energy, they're usually 18 to 30.
It's so wonderful because it is schooling in itself. Like you said, when you're coming out at 18, 19, you don't know where to start. Having a guided project under your belt all of a sudden opens so many other doors. In terms of the program and the growth of it, Has it grown exponentially since you started? It sounds like it has. And also, what about the students? Is there a frustration with things not being done, and so they're like, I'm gonna do it?
Yeah, I mean, to answer the first part of your question, we've just kind of kicked off the first cohort of our guided projects program. It's our newest program, so it's still underway. There is so much demand for this program, but it's also tough finding capacity as an organization to be able to fund these projects and grow ourselves. So we're always, hustling to raise funds so that we can support more young people to develop these kinds of projects. So we hope to really grow this program exponentially. We would love to see hundreds, thousands of youth-led community energy projects out in the world. And yeah, we hope that all of our programs are kind of feeding into that. And secondly, on the frustration, I think that is very real among many of our youth network. They're seeing the slow pace of, negotiations, international climate policy, federal climate policy. There have been wins over the past few years, but the reality is we have not bent the curve on emissions. We have not reached universal energy access. We have not addressed many of the energy injustices that we're facing nationally or internationally, and youth see that day in and day out. So there is a sense that youth want to take action by themselves and do what they can to be part of the solution. I think it can feel really disempowering to feel like these policies, these larger forces are far beyond reach for young people. So I think developing a solution with their peers, something they can do in their communities and be that note of change, can be really empowering for young people in the face of, I think, really frustrating inaction that we're seeing from our leaders.
Well, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful way of protest isn't the right word, but rather than just protesting, you nailed it. Part of the solution. It's like, okay, we don't agree with this, but we're going to go out on our own and we're going to do this and show you that this works and show you that this is the way. I mean, it's students leading, not students. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. And we're really hoping to connect the dots in all the ways that young people are trying to change the system. We have very important, opposition that youth are leading on the front lines, that indigenous groups are leading on the front lines, saying we cannot continue the harms of our current energy system if we have any hope of building something better. And I think that's so crucial that we support those grassroots and frontline efforts to resist. At the same time, we also have, many of those same youth, those same frontline grassroots groups really embodying the solutions they would like to see. So, there's a perception that young people just like to, be discontent or complain or whatever, but there is that expression of, we're not okay with the way things are now, but we're also here trying to build and embody the solutions we would like to see on a larger scale. So I think connecting the dots between those two types of systems change is really important, and hopefully student energy can shine a light on, young people don't need to grow up and one day build solutions. They're already doing it now.
I mean, I'm not that old, but my high school, early college years were 99, 2000, 2001, and I am so excited for my children's future. 10 years from now, when they're that old, that these programs exist and that people are being made aware of these options. So thank you. It makes me smile knowing that you guys are out there doing this and that it started here in Canada and that it's become this global sensation. It's very cool. Now, guided projects, you have people doing hands-on things. What about when it comes to policy? Obviously, working with governments is going to be something you have to do when you want change.
Exactly. And in our theory of change at Student Energy, we really see it as two essential parts to creating change. One is building up the capacity of young people to be able to do these projects, to be knowledgeable about the energy system, to approach solutions in a really nuanced and intersectional way. So we are building up change agents on the one hand, but we know that we could have, the most capable, the most incredible youth in the world, but if they don't have pathways to actually make decisions or be heard by decision makers to influence policy, then we're not going to see the change that we need at the pace that we need. So, on the flip side of creating change agents and supporting young people, we also work directly with governments, with energy companies, with intergovernmental organizations, with the UN to help them internalize the value of working with young people. I think in the last few years, we're seeing a lot more world leaders, UN officials, energy companies even refer to the work of young people in accelerating climate action, saying, youth are doing a great job. And it's really great to see that, because that wasn't the case a few years ago. Youth weren't really recognized as a key player in the climate space, and now they are. But what we want to close the gap on is, okay, what next? We're recognizing young people as key players, but are we mobilizing to support youth-led solutions? Are young people actually being given decision-making power? Young people put in so much effort into developing manifestos, calls to action, research reports that are sent to influential decision-making organizations. What happens to those? Are they followed through with? Are young people's calls to action actually being addressed? And those are the questions that student energy that we are really interested in, is how can we create space for young people in these powerful decision-making institutions in a way that youth are not only tokenized as, we have a great youth speaker to present on something, but they're actually included in the decision-making processes, that they're actually empowered to understand the complex way that funding is mobilized or decisions are made, and they have a say in that. And that at the end of the day, youth-led projects, community-led projects see some of the change that is being discussed at these very high levels. So that's, I would say, the purpose of our work in the policy space.
Amazing. And it makes sense to have youth at the table and making decisions and decision-making power, because, you have more of a future on this planet than, say, the 55-year-old guy in government. You've got a few more years ahead than that person. And so it makes sense to have somebody there who wants to do the right thing and see the planet be better.
Yeah, and any policies that are passed, any infrastructure that has to be built, we're going to have to be the ones doing it decades into the future. So those policies, if they're in the discussion stage right now, I think it's so crucial that young people are heard, because we'll be the ones seeing it through to completion in the years and decades to come.
Amazing. How did you get involved with student energy? What's your journey? You're very well spoken. You're an amazing policy and communications director, from what I could tell. What's your journey?
I was actually a program participant. So years before student energy, I was very interested in energy just as an individual and in climate action ever since moving to Canada when I was about 8 years old. I did quite a lot of science fair projects on, passive homes and energy efficient heating and cooling. And that was my passion. And in university, I studied geography, so a little more on the art side. And then I was a participant in one of Student Energy's programs, which aimed to basically host a Canada-wide youth-led dialogue on energy in partnership with the government. And I led the dialogues for Vancouver, for BC. And then at that time, Student Energy was an organization run by two and a half very amazing, capable staff. So we were quite a small team. And then I joined on as an administrative assistant while I was still in university. My first role was, working on our receipts and cash flows and those kinds of things. And since then, we've grown from a team of about 3 or 4 staff all the way to now 40 plus staff and international associates as well in 8 countries. So it's been a wild ride with Student Energy over the past few years. But yeah, I started kind of the same way many of our program participants now start, as being a youth participant who is very driven to take action on energy in my community.
I'm not going to lie. I'm incredibly envious that I am too old to join a program. But I'm so happy that there are people out there taking action and doing it. And I want to give a nod to your YouTube channel as well, and all your channels. Really, you guys are clearly a way that realize that education is also the path forward. I found your YouTube channel, 60,000 plus subscribers. And when I started in my solar adventure a year ago, I remember watching your video on solar. And now there's a solar photovoltaics 101 and biomass 101 and wind 101. And they're great production and easy to follow, easy to understand. So yeah, I don't know if you can speak to a bit about the education approach that you're taking.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is really a testament to, I think, our founders and the way they conceptualized student energy in the beginning. A lot of those videos were produced even before I started at Student Energy, and we've carried on that tradition. Education is at the heart of what we do. We are an educational charity, first and foremost. And we really believe there's a need for energy education because unfortunately, it's not a given in high school or university that you will have really comprehensive education about our energy system. Some youth are lucky enough to have that, and many youth aren't. So, we wanted to level the playing field on who gets to understand the energy system because only by understanding the nuances and the complexity of our current energy system can we even begin to shape and build our future energy system. So, we wanted to demystify the energy system, change it from this scary and obscure thing that not a lot of people have access to learning about into something that anyone can feel comfortable understanding, explaining, and taking action on. Because I think even within the climate space, even within the youth climate movement, energy can feel very out of reach or difficult to engage with for young people because it seems sometimes too technical. It can sometimes seem, too laden with economics and technical limitations that we don't learn about in school. And so we wanted to make those accessible. So on our YouTube page, on our energy system map on our website, and in our Energy 101 series on our social media, no topic is too nuanced or complex or technical. We think everything can be made approachable if we explain it the right way. So we dive into all kinds of hot topics. Hydrogen, carbon markets, new emerging energy technologies, as well as understanding the basic fundamentals of the energy system. And I think it's so crucial, whether people are working in the energy sector or not. I think it's so crucial because then they can be a more informed consumer, a more informed voter. They can feel more empowered in the climate policies that they hopefully can weigh in on. So I think energy education is so crucial for everyone, regardless of age, background, current job sector. So and we try to make it fun. I know energy can sometimes be a little bit dry, so we also try to make it fun, concise, and engaging, so that it's a starting point, not an end point.
Amazing. And on behalf of the 40 plus crew, we're enjoying your content as well. I know, of course, it's targeted towards the students, but yeah, I think it's
I mean,
beneficial
from
for
our
everyone.
analytics, we see people of all ages using our resources, and that
Yeah,
is really awesome to see.
totally. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And how can somebody help a nonprofit? So, how can somebody who's maybe listening to this, watching this, help you guys out? And what's the future look like for student energy?
Yeah, that's a great question. We always have a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of projects we would love to scale up and expand. Right now, we're actively trying to grow our internal capacity to be able to expand programs. We have 1,000 plus people on waiting lists for many of our programs that we just can't meet due to, staff constraints, and it's a real challenge for many nonprofits. So if folks are listening who want to get involved with our programs, young people 18 to 30, we're always putting out calls for applications for our programs, and they're mostly free too. So it's another bonus. So I really encourage young people to apply to our programs, even if you don't have a background in this space. For organizations who are looking to better engage with young people or to hear from young people or to work with organizations like Student Energy, this is something I would say we have really developed a lot of expertise in over the past few years. Is helping organizations understand what does meaningful and equitable youth engagement look like for our field of work, whether they're an energy company, a philanthropic organization, a government agency. We've worked with them all. So we'd really invite organizations to get in touch with us as well to learn more about how to support young people in a non-tokenistic, meaningful way, and to really, kick off these many youth projects that we're seeing. So yeah, I would invite organizations to get in touch with us as well. Our inboxes are always open. Our website is always open. So yeah, those are, I think, would be my two main calls to action.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining the Solar PV Cast to chat about student energy and what you do, and truly give the website a look. I mean, the Clean Cooking Forum, the Guided Projects program we talked about, the Chapters program, the Energy Map. It's all on there. It's all incredibly educational. And on behalf of my daughters, who are 8 and 9, just turned 10, thank you for really leading the charge on this and creating a place for young people to go and get information, which is only going to better their lives and the lives around them.
Thank you so much, for having this conversation and for letting us share this message more widely.
Shakti Ramkumar from Senior Director of Policy and Communications with Student Energy on today's episode of the Solar PV Cast. I'd love to keep chatting with you, and as you grow and just follow, I'm following along for sure. Thanks for joining today.
Thanks so much.
The Solar PV Cast by Shift with Chris Palliser. To begin your solar journey, visit shift.ca.